Hey there, so this is the second part of my 3-part series reviewing the Persona animes. The video is going to focus mainly on Persona 4 and all of its OVAs and special, and throughout the video I'm going to be comparing it to Persona 3 quite a bit. So go check out part 1 of this trilogy where I focus on Persona 3. The link will be in the description for that video, and subscribe to my channel to see when I drop the Persona 5 review and any other review in general. Otherwise just sit back, relax, and if you enjoyed the video give it a like and let me know if you've got an anime or even a manga you want me to review. I'm down to review anything really. Persona 4 is based in a rural countryside town called Inaba, which is based off a Japanese city called Fuefoki in the Yamanashi prefecture. This is where our main protagonist Yu Nakamura moves to after being transferred to Yasogami High School, where he now lives with his detective uncle Ryotaro Dojima and his daughter Nanako. Once he transfers to Yasogami, Yu learns of the Midnight Channel. If you stay into a turned off TV long enough, on a midnight, on a rainy day, you will see a strange figure in there who will later be your soulmate. However, the dark truth is that the person who appears on the Midnight Channel will die not long after. After exploring the TV world and summoning his persona, Yu forms the investigation team with other persona users who are either victims of the Midnight Channel themselves or have a direct connection to past victims, with one goal in mind: to find the true reason as to why people will end up in the Midnight Channel and who or what is behind all of this. Persona 4 the animation goes back to the traditional 22 to 23 minute per episode, consisting of 25 episodes with a few extras that I'll talk about later on separately. Aside from those changes, there are some other differences between Persona 3 and Persona 4, besides the obvious one. One is the art style, which when compared to Persona 3 looks a lot muted. It's not like the art style is bad. No way in hell the art style bad. It still looks really good. It has like a very nice variation of colors between the characters' outfits and the different dungeons the team explores, from the blood red of Yukiko's castle dungeon to like the gold yellowish color of Kaiji's steamy bathroom house, to the blinding white dungeon of Nanako's, which genuinely makes me feel like that one fish from SpongeBob. However, I feel like the art style could have been like a lot better, especially when ARC Astra did the animation for Persona 4, and they also did the animation art style for Persona 3 Spring of Birth, which was such a beautiful movie. Like generally, I don't understand why. Maybe it's like budget or something, but I genuinely don't understand why like ARC Astra couldn't have like just kept that quality that they did with Persona 3 into Persona 4. I don't know why they made the decision to downgrade it, but it's a sad downgrade, but it's still good nonetheless. Don't get me wrong. But the slight issues I have with the art style, and again very slight issues I have, is completely made up by the comedy of the show and the show's pacing in general. So unlike Persona 3, which had very limited comedy and basically followed the Persona 3 story in a very simple and linear way, Persona 4 decided to make it a lot more comedic, focusing more on Yu's interaction with not just his investigation team, but with other social link characters such as Ai Ebihara and Nanako, as well as being shown spending time with other social links, with the investigation team having comedic reactions, such as him spending time with Eli Minami, Saiko Urahara and Hisano Kuroda. Honestly, if you just want like a good laugh with the Persona series, just search up Persona 4 animated best moments on YouTube. It's a dumb title, yeah, I get that, but generally you just get a couple of 10-minute videos that are like basically just show all of the funny bits of the Persona 4 series, and generally it's the reason why I got into Persona 4 like more than I did before, because I didn't like Persona 4 as a game. Like between 3, 4 and 5, 4 was my least favorite, but like after watching the anime I genuinely fell in love with all of the characters, and when I went back to play the game it just made the game even a lot more enjoyable for me. And it's not like the show tries to be funny at every waking moment. It does go into a more serious tone when discussing the kidnapping incidents, but it does a really good job at like adding some comedic breaks to not just make every instance of the kidnapping like very bleak and dark, even though it's like kind of supposed to be because of how serious it is. They still do a good job at like making it somewhat entertaining about them discussing it, be it like the characters just like being fed up of the kidnapping, making fun of each other. You know, it still has a seriousness to it, but at the same time you can tell that the characters feel like they're actual friends, like they're still joking about it with each other in a weird dark way. Now, it wouldn't be Persona anime if they didn't include any of the game elements, and Persona 4 made sure to include a lot of them. The first one, which I won't talk about too much because like Persona 3, Persona 4 also used the game's OST in the correct places, such as the correct music for each boss fight and the correct ambient sounds used for like walking around town. Again, it just shows how they stayed faithful to the original source, and it's a very nice touch. Next is the canon transitions of the show. Now, we get the same thing as, you know, Persona 3, where it shows as the days go by. However, instead of showing the phases of the moon, we now get a weather report of both the morning and the evening, because as I mentioned in the Persona 4 summary, the midnight channel only appears when it's raining. It's a very nice touch that AIC Astra did to show the viewer when like each day is raining or not, so they know which days are important, which days are not important. A new feature though is that in Persona 4 it shows you use character stats throughout the whole series. Now, as I explained in my Persona 3 video at the start, go watch that if you haven't. Yes, I'm self-plugging it. I talked about how in the Persona games you need to improve your social stats in order to interact with certain people and unlock certain social links. Here the anime shows you basically improving himself, you know, during like the days that are skipped. So we go from you being average, callow, basic, rough and aware, to heroic, rock solid, saintly, enthralling and sage-like. To me, it's a very nice touch that AIC Astra done, because instead of getting like all of the investigation team members going like, oh wow, you did this, look how you improved so much, oh wow, you've gotten so much better, you know, instead we now just get like this very like simple graph showing how you has improved, and even like where he's improved. Like you could have been, you know, we can see it like if he's improved his knowledge or his like courage or his kindness, you know, we instead of him just like improving like overall, we can still see that he's improving one bit, but some other bits needs some focus on. So again, it's just a nice way of showing like use like general improvement as a character. Then you get the Velvet Room. In Persona 3, the Velvet Room is only shown when like Makoto faces key events in the story. However, in Persona 4, the Velvet Room is shown at basically at the start of every episode, and it's basically used to recap which social links you has unlocked in the previous episode, as well as showing how you and Margaret bond with each other, because Margaret is also another social link that you can do. She also helps you with fusing new personas for him to use in other boss fights, which in Persona 3 is something that Makoto never does, which is very weird, because one major bit about Persona is that you fuse your old personas to create new and better ones whilst transferring skills from one persona to another. So the fact that in Persona 3 they didn't include like not a single persona fusion is very like, honestly I didn't notice it when I first watched it, but like after writing my script and realizing that Persona 3 didn't do it, it felt very weird. So it's very, you know, it's very nice that ARC Astra realized, I don't want to say that it's a mistake, but it's very nice for them to realize that this was like an error in some sort, and they decided to fix it in Persona 4 by showing like the actual fusions. Then you get the cut-ins used in the show. Now in the game, the cut-ins are used when a party member hits a shadowed weakness or lands a critical hit, where in the show it usually happens when the party member summons their persona to turn the tide of a battle. We also get all-out attacks in the show as well, which is where basically all of the members in the party attack the same shadow, coming with its own special cut-ins. There's not much else to say about the cut-ins and the all-out attacks, apart from again, I like how it stays faithful to the original source, to the original game, especially with like the design of the cut-ins. I think the only difference with the cut-ins, especially with the all-out attack ones, is that I think only with the all-out attacks is that obviously in the anime they have more than 4 people in a party, whereas in the game you're limited to 4 people. So in the anime, the all-out attack cut-ins show basically everyone who's fighting, which again is quite a nice like touch of detail that for ARC Astra to do, because it's sort of just limited to like 4, like maybe like cutting of 4 people and a cutting of like 2 people. They kind of bunch everyone together to, you know, to do one big cut-in. It's quite nice, but again, overall I just like how, and the whole theme of this view is like how faithful it stays to the original source, and Persona 4 does a really good job following the original source of, you know, the Persona 4 the game. Now, much like Persona 3, Persona 4 has its own theme that is explored throughout the show, but unlike Persona 3, Persona 4's theme isn't as depressing or convoluted. Persona 4 explores the idea of seeking the truth, not stopping until all the rocks are unturned and everything is understood to the minute details. First, we've got the glasses which each of the investigation team members wear when going into the TV world. These glasses are a special pair of glasses which allows them to see through the fog which is inside the TV world, essentially allowing them to see through the bullshit that's covered in the TV world and understanding and realizing the truth behind the fog. Then you get to how each party member discovers the persona. Now, unlike Persona 3's evoker symbolism, in Persona 4, once the party members enter the TV world, they will usually discover a shadow version of themselves, one that embodies all of their true desires as a human being. Now, the whole process goes like this. Party member will find their shadow, they will deny the shadow, saying, oh, that's not me. The shadow will start acting up, turn into a boss. The investigation members will fight that boss, and then the shadow will become timid, and the investigation members will realize that is me. I need to accept that it's me, and I am happy that it is me, because again, it's part of me, it's part of who I am, it's part of my identity, and then usually that process will help form the persona that they use. Now the whole thing is that like the shadow of themselves is supposed to be like the ugly truth of like who they are as a human being, and basically accepting that how ugly their shadow is, like, you know, obviously not physically ugly, but like mentally, like emotionally ugly, how it is. Once they accept that, they realize, oh, that is me, this is the truth about me, and it's something I should not hide from other people, but instead show it proudly and have it be my strength. Now Persona 4's truth-seeking theme is, in my opinion, not as like hard-hitting as Persona 3's theme of spiritual death, but you know, that's to be expected. Persona 3 has such a unique take on death that will always hit hard because of its serious tone. But Persona 4's truth-seeking theme, paired up with the whole Persona franchise basically being like a coming-of-age story where teenagers start to adapt to the ever-growing world and, you know, transition to becoming adults themselves, truth-seeking fits so well because, again, as you know, as kids, I won't say I talk from experience, but like as children, people just find like the real world kind of like lies to them, and that they have to go out and find the actual answer themselves. Even like as an adult, you know, you realize that people still hide stuff from you, and you have to, you can either live blissfully in ignorance thinking that it's truth, or you can go out and find that truth, like find the real truth, and, you know, accept it no matter how like ugly it is, no matter how bad it is. You can find and accept truth and be at ease knowing that this is the right answer, and no one can, you know, no one can like deter you away from that right answer. Now this would have been the conclusion section to my Persona 4 review, but as you can see, there's more to the show. First thing is that there's a sort of sequel called Persona 4 No One Is Alone, which is basically just a half-hour episode that shows the true ending to Persona 4, where the investigation team fights a boss called Izami no Okami, and also explains how you got his persona without facing his shadow, as well as showing the secret boss fight against Margaret in the base game. Again, there's not much else to it. It's a very nice episode, just like tying up all the loose ends and giving the viewers the true ending. Also staying true to the Persona 4 like art style, the game elements, everything like that. It's just a nice way to tie up loose ends. Next is the golden animation. Persona 4 the golden animation focuses on the new social link character Maria, who is a new Velvet Room attendee and someone who suffers from amnesia. After meeting you and the rest of the investigation team, Maria starts to learn about the world and the wonders that come with it from socializing with other people, which is something that most of us will never experience. However, we later find out that Maria's true identity is Kusumi no Okami, a spy for Amano Sagili, the original final boss, and who was there to find out the true wish of the people. After Amano Sagili was defeated by the investigation team, the fog was contained inside of Maria, and she disappeared to prevent the fog from spreading again. However, after being defeated by the investigation team, she comes back to the real world and lives happily as a weather reporter in Inaba. Now this sequel slash special is just 12 episodes long, but it skips down all of the main story which is shown in Persona 4 and only focuses on the relationship between Maria and the investigation team. But like the original story, it has a really good balance between comedy and seriousness. We also get the main villain's backstory, Adachi's, which is something the viewer can also experience was playing the Persona 4 Golden game when doing his social link. And like the original anime, Persona 4 the Golden animation includes events that happens in the Persona 4 the Golden game, such as the quiz show, you getting a motorcycle, going to the beach, a trip to Okinawa City, and stuff like that. I just want to say how fucking ridiculous the titles are. The Golden animation and the Golden game. I'm generally struggling to like, this is like my third take on doing this. I'm generally struggling to get them like the right way around because they're so fucking stupid. Like Persona 3 has Persona 3 FES and Persona 3 Portable. That's fine, but Golden animation and Golden game doesn't work. I'm sorry. Now for something darker, Thank You Mr. Accomplice is a single episode that focuses on one what if. What if you side with Adachi and help him covers with his crime? It's a very dark episode showing you cutting all of his social links that he built up throughout Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden just to cover Adachi's track, and literally becoming his accomplice by destroying key evidence in the investigation. It is such a dark turn for this bright, happy-go-lucky show. It's not like bad endings are a new thing in JRPGs, but the way Persona 4 handled it, especially in the show, just makes it feel like a lot more darker and bleaker, especially when you watch like the previous shows. It goes from this very comedic and lively show with some like dark undertones with its kidnapping to a very dark and gloomy vibe with a very serious tone of not bringing an actual killer to justice. Even the show's color palette in this one episode changes from like the bright, vibrant, like, you know, countryside colors with its green, its yellow, the blue, whatever. It goes from all of that to this very dark, gloomy tone that kind of resembles Persona 3's Dark Hour, with it being like very like clouded evenings, very dark, very muted colors, like more muted than, you know, what I consider muted at the start of the show. It is such a cool direction for the show to take, and I enjoy how like it's a separate thing that the viewer can just enjoy. If someone doesn't like enjoy those kind of dark ending stuff like that in JRPGs, then it's not like they have to go watch it. They can just ignore it. They can just watch Persona 4, no one is alone, Golden, and then, you know, leave it at that. They get their experience of having Persona 4 be this very joyful, happy show with happy characters and some bad things happening, but not a lot. But for people who enjoy like these dark stuff, or people who just want to see everything that a game has to offer or show has to offer, then adding this as a separate episode is, you know, a really good idea, because now people can go watch it if they want to. Whilst Persona 3 is, in my opinion, the best game, Persona 4 is the best adaptation of the Persona game series into an anime series, being able to blend in the seriousness of the investigation with a lot of comedic scenes was making the characters like that appear on the screen enjoyable to watch. Then you got the Golden animation, which is basically just an expansion of the original story with a new character, and it doesn't repeat the story. Thank fucking god. If it repeated the story, it'd been a lot worse, but it didn't. And, you know, it just focuses more on Maria and the investigation team. Plus, you got the dark episode of you siding with Adachi, and, you know, in the original Persona 4 you got the No One's Alone episode where it's just the true ending. You basically just have everything you can get out of a JRPG in four separate packages. You know, you got Persona 4, which is like the original base game. You got No One Is Alone, which is the true ending. You got the Golden animation, which is focuses more on the golden events in the game, and you got Thank You Mr. Accomplice, which is the, you know, the bad ending. It has something for everyone. Yeah, the show's theme isn't as like attractive to a viewer, or to me at least. Again, Persona 3's theme is forever the best in my opinion, but it does more to make up for that. You know, again, the comedy, the pacing, the characters, even the art style, which again isn't bad at all. Yes, ARC Astra downgraded from Persona 3 to Persona 4, but it's not bad at all. It's still really good. Overall, the show is the best adaptation of a Persona game. Now that we had a trip to Tartarus and we had a good time watching Midnight Channel, let's go do some thievery, yeah?